Let's call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. We stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice. Okay. Adding or deleting items to the agenda. We are going to table the minutes, letter C, under administrative matters. Until the next meeting, Sarah, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Any other changes?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the deletion of letter C of the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First up, under administrative matters, 2024-25 goals and objectives review and development.
So I didn't expect to spend a lot of time on this tonight. I just want to make sure that you guys are taking a look at that. And we do need to prioritize some of those projects and add projects to them. So if I could get feedback from you between now and the next meeting, I can create another draft of that and we can kind of get that finalized going forward.
Sarah, when does the grant that we can apply for the Notch Road, when is that due?
April 15th, I believe.
Okay. And I'll take a ride with Chris and whoever else wants to look at the Notch Road and anything else he feels he wants us to see, but I would think that would be a priority to get that grant.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have anything to add to that list? All right, moving on.
I'm sorry. I do want to mention we do have the playground sitting at the garage right now, so we need to get out some. We need to get some bids for prepping.
Can someone?
That. Go ahead, Del.
Well, I would just like to be filled in on the progress of that, unless I should have Liam join, or not Liam, excuse me.
Liam is just very busy, so
thank you.
I know he's got a lot of stuff going on. I think we just gotta get it out there, posted for bid for a project. That's the most important part.
So I'm wrong when I thought we chose to do an all-inclusive. The company was to set it up, that we voted against having volunteers set it up. I thought that's what we had discussed.
I don't remember it that way. I thought I don't think that company was going to be able to set that all up. That they were not a local company, I don't believe, correct?
I don't. No, that's just not how I remember it.
Okay. I don't know.
I'll look into it. There was site work that needs to be done with the installation of the footings for the playground.
Yes.
Okay, and who's piecing the playground together?
And that I thought was the company.
The company themselves. Does
okay,
yes, but that's what I'm saying. The bidding for the site work.
The site work.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
So I did check the field out just recently, and it is pretty wet still there after the last snow, and we're supposed to get some more snow, but we do want to be prepared if it's going to take a while to get these bids. That's all, because I'm sure that company is going to want to erect this sooner than later.
So I'll look back at the records and find out what the time schedule was for the company to come install, or confirm that with Liam, because that will dictate what we need to put in the RFP. Seth, if you could work with me on that to figure out what we are going to need to do, and we'll, Liam, if he's too busy, we can just email him and he'll have that on file. You know, he'll have it on record. But yeah, we need to get any construction projects for this summer. RFPs
Yeah, if he
need to
needs
go
a
out
hand reaching out, let us know.
soon. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, great. Anything else with the list? Moving on to letter B, the signing of orders, including March 25th's payroll and check warrant, along with the most recent April 1st. We'll combine all four together. So I'll make a motion to approve the orders. 325.24 in the amount of $22,691.32. For 4/1/2024 in the amount of $68,713.86. Payroll, March 18th, 2024 in the amount of $17,895.17. And for April 1st in the amount of $17,893.20.
Okay. Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And we will table the minutes until our next meeting. Number 4, under announcements, we have our employment opportunities at the town hall, our bookkeeper, assistant clerk, assistant bookkeeper, assistant clerk. It's one position, and the highway maintenance equipment operator is another.
And Sarah, you said you had gotten some applicants for the road crew job?
To date, we have 2 applicants that did not go through Indeed, and we have 9 applicants that were submitted through Indeed. So the road commissioner is currently reviewing those applications and prioritizing who he'd like to interview first. And I've reached out to Seth to figure out a time schedule. I reached out to Chris first to see if there was any time this week that can be, but we got that storm coming in. So then I'm going to reach out to Seth to schedule interviews with Chris present. Was there a second select board member that wanted to interview as well for the highway department?
Seth, you had mentioned that. Are you still interested in being on that committee?
She could,
Oh, yeah.
but she said, "Is there a second one of us?" I
Oh,
am
sorry.
helping Jess with the other position.
Okay, I'm definitely interested.
Okay.
So will we
as soon
be
as I
interviewing
get-
all 9? Sorry.
The preliminary review, if they don't meet qualifications, then no, they would not be invited for an interview. Certainly, if it will be interviewing every candidate that has qualifications for the job. But let me, I wanted to do at least one afternoon or evening of interviews this week. But that snowstorm might put a kibosh into that. Seth, are you also available this week, or you have the same conflicts?
Well, I mean, this week's a little bit more open for me as the 8th grade boys are on their class trip. So it will only be 7th grade boys at practices, and there's only 5 of them, so I have help with that. But I would like to know as soon as in advance, as soon as I can, so I could plan for it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So are daytime hours good for you and evening, or you've got practice usually at what time?
Well, practices are 3. You got to figure the hours of 2:45 to 3. 2:45 to 5 o'clock, basically.
Okay.
Those. Those are hours that are out, basically.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
That's
so
the
I'll be in
same
touch
for
about
me.
that.
Evening is difficult,
Okay,
almost the same.
Yeah, I would say more early mornings would be best, I think, given the situation for me.
right. That just it's a little bit more difficult to schedule candidates that are working
Right.
during the day, but we'll move forward with that process, and I'll be in touch with both of you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, thanks.
Our select board meeting that we are to reschedule will be on April 22nd, 5:30. Anything else under announcements?
Nope.
We have public comment, 2 minutes per person, please. Do we have any comment this evening?
Hi all, I'm just here to Court Jones, just check in, see how you're all doing and watch the meeting. No comments. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for coming, Court.
Hey, Court, thanks for being here.
Anyone else? Public comment? Okay, moving on to under business letter A, the appointment of officers. We'd like to clarify who we did appoint last week to the planning commission as far as how long their seat is. Can we appoint Dick first? Dick Howe to the planning commission for a 4-year term. Can I make a motion and get that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
And so that term ending for Dick would be 3/31/28, right? You said 4-year term.
Yes.
Okay. And who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Megan.
Megan. Thank you.
And yeah, all in favor, right? Aye.
Hi, thank you.
We'll just take turns seconding, Seth.
Okay, sounds good. Back and forth.
You're up next.
All right.
We appointed Dennis O'Connell at our last meeting to the planning commission, and we would like to clarify that that is a 2-year term ending on March 31st, 2026. And we appointed Sarah Buxton to the planning commission, and that also is a 2-year term ending.
That's a 1-year term
That's a
ending in
1 year.
2025.
That's a 1-year term, March 31st, 2025. Okay, and onto our constable. So previously, we had Leamy Carter as our constable, and recently we had Mark Fiore show interest in this position as well. We are going to appoint Leamy Carter. He's also our director of emergency. Sarah, help me out. I don't have it right in front of me.
Emergency management director.
Thank you. Emergency management director.
And
So I think
just
what
would
you're
like-
doing, Val, is making a motion to
I
appoint.
am making a motion. I just wanted to thank them both for.
And before we go into the motion, I would just like to say that I think it's wonderful that Mark has moved into our community, and I think over the next year we should, really keep him in mind as we're reassessing things, because, I just think he's a great addition to our community. So I was very impressed with him in the interview, but I think for now our motion is appropriate.
I'll make a motion to appoint Leamy Carter to our constable position. And as I said before, this was a 2-year term.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Letter B, the clerk and treasurer's report. And we have Jesse here. We do not.
She's there.
Sarah, do we have anything?
I'm sorry, you
I
cut
didn't
out for a
receive any
second there, so I
information.
didn't hear what you were saying.
I didn't receive any information, I don't believe, in regards to the clerk and treasurer's report.
The clerk and treasurer's report is going to come later on in the meeting, and I expect that Nancy will probably jump on.
Okay.
She was a little bit later to do a clerk treasurer report and kind of
Sure.
give you a level set on where things stand right now. So she'll be jumping on, but we just want to clarify also that you appointed Jesse at the last meeting to fill a 3-year term. So there's 2 years remaining. So that would be March 31st, 2026. So that's just clarifying the terms like we did with those other offices as well.
Thank you.
You've already made the appointment.
Right.
And then the next two on the list, the assistant clerk and the assistant treasurer, those will be appointed by Jessie as the town clerk and treasurer. So as she moves forward, currently Ann Singizer is appointed as assistant treasurer. And right now we do not have an appointed assistant clerk, but Jessie is charged with making that appointment, not the select board.
Thank you. So we'll come back to letter B when Nancy joins us. And we are early. Letter C, the telephone gap, we can come back to that.
Are we still making appointments?
What did I miss?
Yeah. So we had a number of pages of appointments. So let me just go over them. We have the administrative road commissioner, which is myself, Sarah. And that is for a term that expires in 1 year. This authorizes me to be able to process the truck permits and issue the weight postings on the state's website and assists the road commissioner in his tasks.
Okay, so you want to go through all of these this evening?
All the ones in red are up for reappointment.
Okay.
And in red is their new term expiring.
Okay. Can I read through all of them and make one motion?
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint the following people in the positions. I say after their name, and we will give the length of term as well. Make a motion to approve or to appoint Sarah Tolley to the road commissioner as 1 year. The administrator.
Administration, yeah.
Administration. Road Commissioner Administration until March 31st, 2024. No, I'm sorry. What was the length of that?
Yeah, March 31st, 2025.
Thank you.
It would be till next year.
Mary Ann Garrity Reich. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, and that's 2025 as well.
Thank you. Town Service Officer for 1 year to expire April 14th, 2025.
You've done the Planning Commission, the Energy Committee.
Okay, we have one. Justin Lindholm under the Energy Committee for 4 years to expire on March 31st, 2028. And we have a vacancy on this committee, and this will be a 1 year vacancy to expire March 31st, 2025. Moving on to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. This is a 3-year term. We have Jack Kennelly as the chair to expire March 31st, 2027. We also have a vacancy to expire, a 1 year term to expire March 31st, 2025. Under the Town Recreation, we have 2 appointments, Jesse Bridge. This is a 4-year term to expire on March 31st, 2028. Jim Reddy, the same, March 31st, 2028. 4-year. Moving on, we have 2 more. We have a Chris Baird for a 1-year term under Town Recreation.
Under Cemetery Commission. I'm sorry. That's under Cemetery Commission.
Oh my goodness, there it is. Sorry.
That's okay.
Under the Cemetery Commission. Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. Oh, me. Val Taylor, 1 year to expire March 31st, 2025. Chris Baird, another 1-year term, March 31st, 2025. Dennis Charles, the same, 1-year term. Bill Ellis resigned January 31st, 2024. Moving on to Rutland Regional Planning Commission, Larry Corsell, 3-year term, March 31st, 2027 will expire. We have 2 to be appointed, the Rutland Regional Emergency Management Committee, Leamy Carter is the director for our town, 1-year term to expire March 31st, 2025, and myself as an assistant, March 31st, 2025. Rutland County Solid Waste District Representative, a term of 3 years, Susanna Lafredo. No.
Yep, she
Is this
resigned.
vacant?
So we are looking for a vacancy in that position.
Okay. It's a 3-year term.
And then the other one,
Vacancies so far. Okay.
you already did Rod McQuaig, so you can jump down to the steering committee.
Okay. Route 4 Steering Committee. This is a 1-year term. Select Board member Seth Bridge. These are all March 31st, 2025. We have Larry Corsell, Fred Bagley, Patty Lancaster, and Sarah Tolley. Make a motion to appoint every single person to their committees for the term I mentioned after their name. You're muted, Seth.
Sorry, Val. I just have one quick question. So if
Yep.
somebody was to disagree with any of these appointments, how does that work? Just wondering. I just said I didn't know how anybody would respond to that if somebody disagreed with it.
So you can.
Would it have to be a select board member, or would it have to be? I mean, is our public?
What should happen right now is that the motion should receive a second or not receive a second. So there's a motion on the floor, and then you can have discussion after that, and then there can be an amendment to the motion that Val just made.
Okay. So it's just between us then. It's not between the public then on this.
No, you make the appointment. certainly the public can discuss. They can have discussion. But if you wanted to change anything that Val said, you wouldn't want to second it. We'll see if Megan will second it. Then we have discussions, and then we would see if you want to make any changes to those.
Okay.
So I'll go
just-
ahead and second it. I'll go ahead and second it and then open for discussion, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's more for me just wondering how things would be questioned. That's all I'm saying. In disagreement.
I
Okay.
object to an appointment.
So
Brian Gates.
Brian and Carol Gates have their hand up. So Brian, do you want to discuss?
Sure, I would. I'd like to make sure Jack Kennelly is not appointed. I can show you letters that he sent to me that were a complete lie. He violated our constitutional rights and procedures at a town hearing, which wasn't paid for, but he conducted it anyway. We can show you the evidence. We had asked for him to be removed before the hearing, but you guys didn't want to hear it. Well, now I'm complaining again because I have the letters that he sent, that it was a timely and complete application for my neighbors to appeal my permit. But there had never been payment, which shall be received in our own ordinances and in state statute. He blew off my wife when she asked for payment at the hearing and the required documentation that was required at that hearing. But he proceeded anyway. And we still haven't got a letter from him addressing us about the permit still.
And he continued on with a deliberative session and
It wasn't public.
stayed the permit for 90 days instead of the 45 that is in our own regulations. Our rights were violated. We have a bill for the town for the extra money, and we are going to send it to you. We are going to sue you as soon as H875 gets approved.
You're all screwed.
Yeah, and we already have
Thank
the
you.
violation filled out.
Thank you.
So if you appoint him, you're appointing a liar
And a cheat.
and a cheat.
So now
Thank
you.
you.
will
That's
have-
how long.
now you'll have
The name you, can you please? Thank you.
Muted them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
So did you just appoint him anyway?
I believe you're muted. Can you please mute yourself? The discussion's over.
They still.
Thank you. On to letter E, we will come back to the telephone gap project. We're waiting for the representative to join.
I actually have the update for the telephone gap project because Chris Matrix wasn't able to attend. So
Great.
I can address that now, or we can wait.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So a little bit of education about the telephone gap project. This has been in the works for about 4 years. It encompasses, I believe, 72,000 acres between 9 towns, in which the project in Mendon is on the eastern side of Meadow Lake Drive and the northern side of Route 4. It encompasses that section of town. And it would be any portion of the Green Mountain National Forest that is within those boundaries. It's a forest and environmental rejuvenation project. It spells out action plans for wildlife habitat, increased habitat diversity, restored soils and watershed conditions, sustainable networks of roads and trails, increased recreation opportunities, and timber harvesting to provide wood projects for local and regional economy while enhancing the forest health and diversity. So the U.S. Forest Service has issued their preliminary environmental assessment, in which I will include the link to that information in the chat momentarily, and it'll also be included in the minutes. We'll post it on the website and social media for people to be able to access this information. You can also Google the telephone gap project, and all of this information will come up. So they're in the process of obtaining public comment, which is due by April 8th. It started March 8th, and it goes to April 8th. So we're in the last week of being able to provide comment. But you can find on their website how to submit a comment regarding their plans for their project. Previously, Chris Matrix had come to the select board and kind of presented this information on what they were going to be doing upwards of 3 to 4 years ago. So how does it specifically affect Mendon? There is a map that's included on the website. There's new trails that will be going in and around the new forest building. There's a network of new trail loop that goes around there. They're decommissioning a trail up through the Blue Ridge mountain, and they're creating snow ski trails that will come down through Chittenden and into Mendon. So you can see all of those on the map. They're doing some vista improvements where they've identified areas of the trails that they'll open up so that you can look out and have more of a vista view from, and a couple of those are located in Mendon. So it's an interesting project. They've done a lot of work on it, and I encourage the board to take a look at what the projects are in Mendon. And really the best way to see that is to look at the map, and it identifies the different areas that they're going to be working in Mendon. And that's it. So comments due by April 8th.
Any questions at this time regarding this telephone gap project?
And I'll send the select board a link to that information.
Thank you.
Well,
Letter D, the Rutland Regional Public Works Mutual Aid Agreement. We all received this beforehand. Are there any questions?
Nope.
so are we making a motion to approve the regional planning or regional public works agreement?
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions about that agreement?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I'll move that we accept. I'll make a motion that we accept it.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, and this does become an attachment with our local emergency management plan, which will be presented to you for the next meeting, with a deadline of
Okay.
adopting that before May 1st.
Okay. Is that what the next item is on the agenda, or is that
The next item is, the local. I wanted to put it on the agenda in case they were ready to adopt it this evening. But we're still updating and making changes to that plan, so it'll be presented to you at the next meeting. But
Okay.
do you have any questions specifically, Megan, on what that plan is that they're preparing? Do you understand that this is a requirement of Vermont Emergency Management, and it spells out the process acceptable to FEMA of how the town would be managed through a disaster,
Yes.
through any type of emergency situation. And what happens is when the emergency management director declares the emergency, he or she could essentially take over the management of the town throughout the emergency. And therefore, the select board is no longer responsible for managing the town through that emergency. And as part of our prior approval in the plan, they have access to up to $10,000 in emergency funds that they can spend without select board approval.
Okay.
Are there any questions regarding the vulnerable population information that we received beforehand?
Nope.
And the vulnerable populations will also be something that is attached to that report, and it's how to reach out to the different organizations that help various vulnerable populations, whether it's the aging population or specific disabilities.
These agencies that do reach out to the vulnerable populations, they are in charge of finding, the populations themselves.
Yeah, they typically work with them on an annual basis anyways, because they're providing services. And I'll just use an example like the Association for the Blind. Typically through care providers, anyone experiencing that type of disability would be associated with the Association for the Blind. So they know better than anyone else where people are located in Mendon with certain disabilities. So it's just important for us to know ahead of time, how do we contact these people and make sure that we're able to identify our vulnerable populations.
And they update all of the personal information with these people every year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so they have the personal information about them.
Okay. Any other questions? Moving on to letter F, the AOT, or annual financial plan.
So this essentially is just a form that the Agency of Transportation has us take our budget that was approved at town meeting and put it into their format. What the select board needs to do is certify on the second page that we spend at least $300 to maintain our roads annually per mile. And I'll tell you that number is more like $30,000. That has not been really updated in state statute. So you far exceed $300 per mile of maintenance of roads. So I am looking for a motion to approve that, and you would be signing the certification form at the end of the financial plan, and it's called TA 60 is the form that you're approving.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the select board to approve less than equivalent or greater than a sum of $300 per mile for class 1, 2, and 3 of town highway in Mendon under TA 60.
Look at that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did I say that correctly, Sarah?
Yep,
Get
that's perfect.
Moving on to letter G, grants and aid, fiscal year 2025, letter of intent.
So this is authorization to submit a letter of intent signed by the chair of the board to participate in the fiscal year 25 grants and aid. This will help upgrade a hydrologically connected road segment that is identified by our road commissioner and that currently does not meet standards in accordance with the municipal roads general permit. And that would be to bring at least one. Sometimes it's enough funds available to upgrade 2 hydrologically connected road segments. So this is to authorize the chair to submit the letter of intent.
So
I
I'll
cannot make that
move-
motion, is that correct?
Right, so I'll move that we authorize that Val to participate in the letter of intent for the grants and aids FY25.
Okay. Second that.
You're going to second that, Tex?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
I wouldn't be able to second that, Sarah, is that correct? Would I have been able to second?
Yeah, you can. You can second it. You're signing not as an author. You're just signing as the authorized chair of the board.
Okay.
So you would still be able to make that particular motion.
Okay. Shall we
So-
wait for Nancy a couple minutes? Did we hear
Yes,
from her?
I can tell you Jesse is struggling right now. They're having problems with the sound with the other meeting right now. So she has been
Oh.
struggling with that at the moment. I'm not sure about Nancy, but
Is this something that can be tabled?
Let's just give it a minute because if Nancy was going to jump on, I think I might have told her 5:45, which is in 3 minutes, because I expected that Chris Matrix was going to be here and he would have talked a little bit longer on the Green Mountain or the telephone gap project.
Sure.
Okay.
So Lisa, do you have a question?
If I could find the unmute button. I don't know how to raise my hand on the computer, so I just, my husband has something to say. Ask.
Public comments on the first 25 or 30% of the meeting towards the end.
Lisa, he has to move in front of the computer.
I am in front of the computer.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
We couldn't hear you.
I wanted to ask if you can move the public comment section from the first 25, 30% of the meeting towards the end of the meeting, so that the public can comment on the gist of the meeting rather than on the first 2 or 3 items of the meeting. Because there's nothing really to comment in the beginning of the meeting. After everything's talked about, then the public should be able to comment.
Okay.
we're not against that. I mean, it makes sense. Anybody else?
That's fine. I think that's reasonable.
Absolutely.
So I had lowered all hands and I see that Carol has raised her hand again.
Yes, and I'm wondering why we have 2 meetings going on at the same exact time again. Why are we doing that? That's why there's so much interruption. You know, we got friends trying to help friends, and, you know, you don't want to have anybody watch it or what? I don't understand why we have the meetings at the same time.
I think this was a rescheduled meeting. Am I correct?
We've had 4 of them now at the same exact time. I've said something before about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, at some point, Brian, maybe something will be good for you with this town. So, well, let's just chill out here.
We
Okay.
got some weird shit. We got some weird stuff going on at the planning commission as well as the town meeting. So, you
We
know,
just got a lot of stuff going on, so we're trying to get things done. So,
well, why don't we do them one at a time instead of having two meetings at the same time?
We'll try
Nothing?
to avoid it in the future.
I think Court wants to weigh in. What do you got, Court?
Hey y'all, how you doing tonight? Just a little comment on having the comments at the end of the meeting. I've served on the select board for 13 years and chaired it for probably 6 of them. And my advice to the select board is do a little research on that with other communities. The purpose of the select board meeting is to not have a gripe session at the end of every meeting. And if you've got an issue with the town, you should bring it in during the public comment period of the town meeting or the select board meeting, present it, let the select board discuss it if they have to. They may table it to a further discussion down the road, but I'd sure hate to see the select board's meetings be turned into a gripe session at the end of every select board meeting. I just don't think that's healthy for the town. And I would recommend Sarah doing a little research on that, and also I'd also do a little research on public comment during discussion of motions. That's a select board decision, not a general public decision. So I just throw some advisement out there from past experience of serving the town for many years.
Thank you.
Court. Much heated. Much heated. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa has another question.
Down the unmute button. Yeah, my statement towards Court would be, what does it matter when the timing of the public comments would be, because it's still only 2 minutes for 15. So the gripe session could be in the middle or at the end. At least if it's at the end, it gives the select board time to get through their agenda and then have that 15 minutes at the end where people can make a comment and for the 2 minutes. And that's my opinion.
Just as a follow-up, Lisa, I appreciate your comments. You know, the select board meeting shouldn't be a gripe session. It just seems like there's too much friction in town right now. And then we've lost a lot of public people. You know, a lot of our people, the select board members have resigned. We've had people within the office resign. You know, it's time for our community to come together instead of grow apart. And it'd be nice to see some of the friction that's created in town go away. That's why I've attended the last 2 meetings, just to kind of see what's going on and from what I've been hearing. And it's just be nice to see our town to try to get along a little bit better. I mean, the select board meetings should not be a gripe session. You know, these are people that basically volunteer their time. They get paid diddly squat to do what they do. And, you know, it shouldn't be that every 2 Mondays they get yelled at by people from the town. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the people in this town.
Can I speak, Sarah? Okay. I 100% agree with you that it shouldn't be a gripe session or any of what you stated, but that's not what my husband said. He said, put it towards the end of the meeting so that people can speak about what went on during the meeting. If it's at the beginning of the meeting, how do you ask questions on something that you haven't even heard the select board discuss and or vote on? So I think there are 2 separate issues here. One is moving it towards the end of the agenda, and the other issue is keeping it not to become a badgering gripe session, as you stated it was. So I agree with you on one part. On the other part, as far as moving it towards the end of the meeting, I don't agree, because I think it gives the people of the town, as you're stating, more ability to speak about things. You know, maybe we could ask questions about the emergency management plan or ask questions about the AOT rather than ask a blind question in the middle of a meeting before the conversation was even had. And that's the end of my discussion on this.
Thanks, Lisa. We have Carol has raised her hand again.
It's Brian Gates, and I know you're sick of hearing from me, but maybe if the town would do the right thing and follow their own rules and their own ordinances, there wouldn't be so many gripes in town. There's a lot of nepotism going on. Everybody can see it. and it looks rotten. You're corrupt. You're all together on it, and it's like a conspiracy. It's nasty. That's why we have problems in the town court. Maybe you could fix it. I don't know what you think you can do. Step in, buddy.
Okay, how long are we waiting for Nancy?
I think we're good. So we waited 5 minutes.
Thank you, everyone, for
Essentially,
joining.
she had emailed out a year-to-date financial report for you on Thursday. And so if there's anything to add, or if you have any questions about that report, please let us know as soon as possible, and we'll get Jesse to answer those questions for you. I know that they've had a level set on where everything stands. So if you have any questions about the departure of the financials from Nancy and turned over to Jesse, please let us know so that we can answer those for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments this evening. We will adjourn the meeting at 5:51.
Thank you.